gave up a TV job to start a podcast in your basement. If that doesn't scream midlife crisis, I don't know what does.
It was Championship Sunday here in Indianapolis. What's the mindset then coming in as a defending champion?
I want to win. No, I want to win.
The young lady over my shoulder, Caitlin Clark.
Not the best looking guy. And I don't think anyone's going to sit here and say, Matt Randazzo was really good looking.
What has this last month, 2 months, 3 months been like for you? It's an important fan base for the Fighting Illini, isn't it?
It is.
He turned 69 years young last week. You look good, Coach.
Oh, try it. Thank you.
Welcome to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Thursday in the Quad Cities. Thursday, May 22nd. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Another cloudy, gloomy, not rainy, but kind of rainy day here in the Quad Cities. So good excuse to stick inside and check out a fun show that we have on tap for you today. If you're watching us live on YouTube, we appreciate that. Up over 1,000 subscribers. That's very good news. We'd love for you to subscribe if you haven't. If you have already, thank you very much. Also, tell a friend or two or 10 about what we're doing right here in the Quad Cities each and every weekday. We are also live on X as well. X has been very good to us as well. And then, as I mention every day, you can check us out on all the podcasting platforms as well. So wherever you get your podcasts, go ahead, download it, check it out. Each and every day that comes out right after the show gets done, right around noon. So check us out, Spotify, Apple, Podbean, you name it. You should be able to find Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. A lot of good stuff to get to once again today. Coming up in a matter of moments, we'll be joined by our good friend Kedric Prince because there's a lot to talk about when it comes to the Fighting Illini. Yesterday, it was announced that the Illinois football program has sold out season tickets for the season for the first time in a long time. Expectations very high, so we'll talk to Ked about that. A big day of recruiting and a lot more. Kedric Prince coming up in just a matter of moments. It's been a good week and a good season for the Bettendorf Girls soccer team. Of course, Bettendorf won state last year. They claimed a share of the MAC championship recently as well. Their head coach, Allison Sanyi, coming up in just a little bit to talk about Bettendorf, their road to a MAC championship, which has been full of bumps along the way and some adversity. And then now they turn their sights towards maybe defending that state championship as well. So we'll talk to her a little bit later on in the show. And then also it is Thursday, which means Throwback Thursday. And we're going to class up the show a little bit and chat with an old friend of mine, the WQAD anchor, former WQAD anchor, Angie Sharp, coming up in hour number 2 of the show. That'll be a ton of fun. If you missed any of the shows this week, go check them out. A lot of good stuff already this week and a lot more to get to today. And of course, coming up tomorrow as well. Programming note, it will be a 3-day weekend for myself. No show on Monday. We'll be back on Tuesday with a new group of shows, a new week of shows as we head to the summertime. Spring's almost over, June right around the corner, football season, everything else right around the corner as well. So a lot of good things to get to on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. A few news and notes before we get going on today's show. The Big Ten tournament baseball-wise taking center stage right now in Omaha. A big night for Iowa last night. It was basically an elimination game or a play-in game into the semifinals. They took on Rutgers, and Iowa gets the job done. They beat Rutgers 4-3, so they punched their ticket to the semifinals coming up on Saturday. Cade Obermueller was fantastic. 7 shutout innings, struck out 10. Iowa scored 3 in the first. They led 4-0. They hold on to win it 4-3, so they get the job done. Now that makes their game against Indiana meaningless. They'll play it, and they move the date on that one. It will be on Friday. Because of weather and everything on Friday, they moved it to Thursday evening at like 9 o'clock at night. So probably 10 o'clock at night, the way things go at the tournament. So late night game against Indiana coming up on Thursday. Doesn't mean too much. They'll take on UCLA on Saturday in the Big Ten tournament semifinals. Also yesterday in Omaha, the Illini lost to UCLA, meaning the Bruins advancing to that semifinal against the Hawkeyes as well. We don't talk a lot of NBA on the show, but last night took me back to my childhood. It was Indiana in New York, game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. The Knicks were up 14 with like 3 to go. They're up like 9 with like 50 seconds to go. The Pacers come all the way back, tie it, forcing overtime. Former Iowa State standout Tyrese Halliburton does it again, forces overtime. The Pacers go on to win in overtime, 138-135. Heck of a performance by the Pacers, Tyrese Halliburton and company. Kind of brought back those memories of when I was young, and the Pacers and Knicks were a huge deal in the 90s. So good basketball, fun to watch last night on the NBA level as well. We start today, though, with some news from Illinois. Yesterday, they announced that season tickets for next season for the football program have been sold out. And it wasn't too long ago. In fact, it was less than a week ago, last Friday, that we had Brett Bielema on the show right here on Off the Air with Matt Randazzo. And we asked him, we kind of felt like it was going to happen. And we asked him what it would mean to see a season ticket sell out and what those fans mean each and every Saturday at Memorial Stadium. Take a listen to what he had to say. Excited about what this fall will look like in the stands as well, aren't you?
We definitely are, Matt. I have no doubt in my mind that, we've tried to create a home field advantage here at the University of Illinois. It's something they haven't had in a while, but I do remember coming into this stadium as an opponent in the late 80s, early 90s and being like, wow, this is a tough place to play. And, the first time I really felt it was this year post-game against Kansas. You felt it during the game, but we kind of won a walk off a victory against a ranked opponent. A number of weeks later, we were able to beat a 100-year anniversary game against a ranked opponent at Michigan. Michigan was the defending national champ, and to have a 2-score game victory over the defending national champ on your home turf on a 100-year anniversary game and some retro uniforms, that was pretty awesome. But to be on the field afterwards, to have the fans swarm our team, our family, my 2 baby girls were in my arms and had people going nuts. It was just an awesome environment. And we won 6 of our 7 home games last year. We got 7 again this year that we're hoping to have similar success, but we got to take it one game at a time. And I think that's the fun part of college athletics and in particular college football.
And joining me now to talk all about the Illini, our good looking, handsome friend, Kedric Prince. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
Well, good looking. I don't know. You see all those gray hairs, man. I don't know. My life's changing, baby.
Well, we'll get away from the good looking and just say my good friend. How about that? We'll just keep with my good friend, Kedric Prince. You just heard Brett Bielema talk about it. There's an excitement. We've talked about it around Illinois football that I haven't seen since maybe I was a little boy. To hear that it's sold out, I know it doesn't surprise you, but what's your reactions when you hear that season tickets are sold out for this next season?
I'm surprised, to be honest with you. I know Coach, I didn't get to hear the whole interview, but I can be honest with you. He is supposed to say he's not surprised, but he should be too. Illinois football, and I'm probably going to make some people mad, they stunk before. They were horrible. And they've never been a team that has won consistently. They've never done it. And so it's not like we can pretend that they have, because they have not. They've always struggled. They will put a good they will put a good product on the field, and then the very next year you knew what to expect. You knew they were going to fall on their face. You go back to Ron Turner, you go back to Zook. They've always had those years, and then all of a sudden, reality sets in. They struggle. And the thing with Brett, Matt, is that he has built a program. This is not a one-year wonder. I hate to tell people that, but it's not. This guy is literally recruiting, and he's doing a remarkable job. And what people don't understand, a lot of people are into the 4-star, 5-star, and it matters. Don't get me wrong, because it does. But what I do is I go by who they're beating, because to me, the traditional powerhouses in the Big Ten, we know the West Coast schools are there. You've always had the Ohio States, the Michigan, then you had the Iowas, and I guess Wisconsin and kind of Nebraska and Michigan. They're beating those schools. Don't take my word for it. Get online, get on computer, and look. They're beating up teams that have consistently won in the Big Ten.
No, it's been impressive. We're going to talk about recruiting in a second, but to have that place down at Memorial Stadium, electric, full, and ready because I think that was the thing. It was still catching up. And Ked, we were down there, and you've seen me down there when Iowa beat Illinois 66 to whatever it was. And it was, half full, and like half of those half were probably Iowa fans. And then you look back this past season when you look at that Michigan game this past season, that's a difference. It makes a difference. So to know you're going to get that day in, day out, night in, night out, week in, week out, it's going to play a big part in. And now how does Illinois have to capitalize? Because like you just said, there's an excitement and then it goes away. They got to capitalize on the fact to get these young fans in and make it so that Illinois football is something they need to go see each and every year, don't they?
They do, man, and you're 100% right. And I kind of went on one of my runs and tangents. To answer your question, it shows the fans they want a winner. They want a good football program. They want to go down there. They want to be able to cheer for someone. They want to put a team together where they know they can compete. And it's good for the university. I mean, I don't know if people really realize whether you're a football fan or basketball fan, but I've done this with you and our good friend Tom Caker multiple times. As much as people can love basketball, your football programs, that's what makes you athletic, but, well, not as much anymore with TV revenue, but that's what makes your cash cow. And it's tough. You're right. You mentioned the game when Illinois went down there and they were blown out by Iowa. It was happened when they played Penn State, Matt. They were blown out. Why would people, and a lot of people come from Chicago, Springfield area, and even the Quad Cities and Peoria, because when I go down to cover the games, you can see people going down there from this area. But why would you go if you knew you didn't have a chance to win? The thing with basketball with Illinois, the reason why they've always been so dominant, except for the John Gross era's recent memory, is because they've always had a chance to win. Regardless of Bill Self, Bruce Weber, they had a chance to win. The football program hasn't had that until now. There's not a team out there. Even when Illinois went to Oregon last year and lost, in my mind, I thought they had a chance to win because Brett's system is set up like Iowa's. You're going to be in the game. You're going to be in the game. There'll be some times where they put up a lot of points and blow people out, but they're recruiting players and their system is so well to where they don't make a lot of mistakes. They don't turn the ball over, and his retention is great. In today's world, when you could bring 18 out of your 22 starters back, whatever the case may be, how in the hell is that done? Because it doesn't happen anymore. So the fans are excited. I'm glad for the fans because there's a bunch of old timers out there, Matt, old guys that have watched this cycle 1 year, then break. Now, I don't think they won 10 games last year. I don't know if they're going to win 10 games this year. A lot of people think so. I think the schedule is tougher than what people give them credit, but they're going to go to a bowl game unless injuries, hurt them, which is possible, and everybody has to deal with them. But I really like this system. They are going to compete as long as he's there.
Yeah, you mentioned that Oregon game. Brett Bielema talked about that and said that's the only game on the show. He said that's the only game they've really not been competitive in his tenure at the University of Illinois, and that says something. So, and then you mentioned, too, the fact that they're going to be competitive, they're going to be good. And when you look at it, Iowa fans are used to down years being 6 wins, 7 wins, even 8 wins. Iowa fans compare about 8 wins. That's where Illinois can get to, where you mentioned, they're going to be good year in and year out. They might not win 11 games every year, but you might have to suffer through a 7-8 win season, and Illinois fans would be just fine with just doing that. So it was.
They should be, man. I don't know if they will be. They should be, but I don't know if they will be.
They will be for a while.
Wants to win.
They will be for a while, and then they'll get cranky. Everybody always gets cranky. The grass is always greener on the other side. So, big recruiting day for Illinois football yesterday, and their recruiting class, Ked, is outstanding. And it's not one of those things where you're like, hey, they're good, we're nationally ranked, but we have like 4 really good recruits and it's early in the process. We're like to 16 recruits now. Like there's a bunch of recruits in this class and it's still ranked in the top 10 in the nation. Yesterday, a young man from Morgan Park, Nasir Rankins, had a big commitment. I'm going to show it to everybody and then we'll get your reaction.
With that being said, I'll be committed to
right, first off, Ked, the hat thing brings me back to that Cliff Alexander stuff that we don't want to talk about. But your thoughts on obviously a charismatic young man, really good football player, his commitment to Illinois yesterday.
Well, I want to be transparent. I'm not going to be fake because I'm on the show. I don't like seeing kids throw hats. I'm not a fan because that actually happened in Illinois a couple of weeks ago with a Nebraska recruit. And then his parents had to go national to apologize to Illinois fans, which didn't mean anything to me. But he's a kid and everybody wants to give him a pass. BS. His parents knew what he was doing. But to answer your question, this was big. I just mentioned to you the old-timers and people who have followed recruiting, not just your casual Illinois fan, but if you have followed recruiting, I'm going to ask you to look in the mirror and say to yourself, how many times have you seen a kid from state of Illinois who's that good in football, but a high-profile kid put on that hat and he ends up going to Iowa? He ends up going to Michigan or Ole Miss or North Carolina or Oregon or USC or Wisconsin. I'm saying those names because that's what Illinois beat out to get that kid. They beat those programs out to land him. Yesterday, you got to see firsthand. And here's what, Matt, and I don't want to say this doesn't matter. On a national scene, and I know people don't drive off the road or you think Kedric, go see a psychiatrist. Nationally, Illinois football matters right now. And Brett is selling the hell out of it. I don't know what his degree is in. Maybe it's marketing. I think maybe it is communication. He's good at it. He's good at social media. He's professional at taking shots at people. He knows when to back off and when to do it. You know, like you go back to the bowl game when they played, South Carolina, and he went out there and there was some intent. Yeah, and he's smart about it. So he's good. And so when people are talking nationally about your football program, Matt, you've arrived, and it's not just, and it's weird because we're not used to seeing this. We're just not. And for a long, long time, and I expect, when I talk to recruits, so people don't know, one of my jobs is a recruiting coordinator for Illini guys. I talk to these recruits, and I listen to some of the things they say to me and why they pick Illinois. First of all, if you haven't been down, the facilities are different than what it was in the 70s and 80s. Howard Griffith was a great running back down there, and he talked about how bad the facilities were. Now it's one of the top 25 facilities in the country, football, men's, women's basketball. And when you talk to these recruits, they will tell you the facilities are great. And when they go to talk to these other players, everybody talks family vibe and, relationship with these coaches. They literally believe everything that Brett's telling them. He's got 55 guys in the NFL since he's been a coach. That sells itself. And he has guys that are marginal players that he develops. Kids will also say to me, well, Mr. Prince, I want to go to school with this player development. Illinois will give them a list of players that they knew that were 2- and 3-star recruits or that only had offers from Ball State or UNI. No offense to those programs. But then they went to Illinois, and then they became first, second, third-round draft picks. So it is a great time. Whether you like Illinois, whether you like Brett Bielema, that was one of the best hires. I was glad when they hired the guy that Illinois has had in a long, long time.
Yeah, I kind of mentioned it to you probably earlier on the show, on a different show. They're relevant. Like that stuff in the bowl game, it wasn't clown-like. It wasn't anything. It was just making Illinois relevant, where people were talking about Illinois, not in a bad way. Just they had a personality and a persona for Illinois football that they haven't had since I can't even remember the last time they had that kind of personality persona to them. They picked up another kid yesterday, King Liggins, and it just seems like one of those kids that, like you just mentioned, usually gets to a different school and does well. Goes up north to Wisconsin, maybe sneaks over to Iowa, one of those kids that they're going to develop and make into a NFL football player maybe someday. And he looked down to Champaign and said, wait a minute, they're doing that down here. Talk about getting that young man, and just the day for Illinois, knowing that they had two possibilities for two big recruits and to sweep and get both of them. Boy, there's got to be a lot of smiles down in Champaign.
Yeah, because here's kid. His name is King Liggins. I love the name King, and then my last name is Prince. No sarcasm there, but I'll tell you what, Matt, here's the deal. This kid, what did I say about 10, 12 minutes ago? Illinois lost out on recruits to Wisconsin, to Iowa. Those kids never came to Champaign. They didn't. And this kid could have went to a lot of Power 5 schools. I'm not going to bore your listeners with all the schools, but his final two schools were Illinois and Wisconsin. You tell me. It didn't happen. I mean, I'm not going to criticize the MAC conference, but when Tim Beckman was there, and even Lovie Smith, when Lovie Smith was there, Illinois was competing against Western Michigan, Toledo, Miami of Ohio, and you still have those kids because a lot of those kids look in the NFL. Those are great, but if you're going to compete with Iowa, Michigan, Penn State, now Oregon, and all those other USC and all those other programs, you're not going to win with those kids. And I don't mean that in a negative way. And please don't think that I'm being negative because I'm not, but I'm being a realist here. You're not going to do that. So when you can battle a team out like, excuse me, that's bad English, when you battle a team and you beat Wisconsin for a recruit in your state, it shows something because let's be honest, years ago, 15 years ago, you and me and Tom, we would talk, Illinois football players don't want to stay here. Iowa came in and whatever they wanted, it was like going to the candy store. Yeah. You know what? I want Matt Randazzo. You're coming. Let's look at Matthew Bailey. I'm going to give you Matthew Bailey's story. Matthew Bailey is one of the best players on that football program. Brett Beadle, I think he has NFL potential. When I went to Matt Bailey's press conference and I talked to him and his coach, the first thing they said to me was he was going to Iowa. He really was. So Illinois fans, sorry. Iowa fans, you missed. The only reason he didn't go to Iowa was because Iowa would offer him a scholarship. Brett Beadle saw the talent in him, which is why he's so unique. He said, hey, this kid can play Power 5 football, Power 4 football. So the bottom line is this kid deserves to be at the University of Illinois. So now you got kids like that. You got kids like Nazir Rankin, which we just talked about, who is arguably one of the top 10 to 12 receivers in the country, not the state, the country, staying home. So people coming in and invading Illinois and just thinking they're going to come in like Iowa used to do in Wisconsin, Notre Dame, and Michigan. You're not coming in just getting those kids anymore. You're going to have to put up a fight to get Illinois. And you're not going to get all of them. No state does. So you're not going to get every kid because Iowa's lost a couple kids. But right now, you have to compete with the Illini to get a kid now.
Ked, before I let you go, you mentioned, and probably for a longer show later, but you mentioned a lot of people think Illinois is going to win 10, 11 games. They're talked about as a college football playoff type of team. You said you weren't sure. Is that just because of schedule? I don't want to get too down that road, but have you gone through, do you do your win-loss thing? Or have you done that yet? And where are you with how good this team can be this fall?
I don't, from talent-wise, they're as good as anybody. I will say that today. I will say it in August, unless somebody gets injured. I will say it in November. Talent-wise, when I put schedules together, I look at who you play, where you play them at, what time you play them. Because late in the year, the one team I would not want to play, if it was me, I would not want to play Ohio State or Oregon November, because you know what, injury bugs start to creep up, and the depth between Ohio State and Oregon and Michigan is not like it is. I'm sorry, Iowa fans, Illinois fans, even Nebraska. You have depth. So when I look at the schedule, a team like Ohio State who's coming to Champaign, they don't care. Michigan was stupid. They took Illinois for granted, like a lot of other people. They're on the national scene. Nobody's walking into that stadium this next year or this upcoming season thinking this is going to be an easy win. So they're going to have to win games, and I do think last year the ball bounced their way a lot, and they could bounce their way again. But I'm being realistic. Their schedule is tough, but are they good enough to beat everybody? Yes, they are.
No, it should be a fun year. Before I let you go, people talked about it on social media the other day, but these two helmets playing each other would be something that should happen every year, shouldn't it? It's kind of frustrating, isn't it?
Well, what's frustrating is Illinois stunk when they did it before. Who wants to see a 63-0 win or whatever, or 45-10? Yeah. And then when Illinois scored a touchdown, you thought, okay, great. At least it didn't get blown out. Now is the time to do it. And I like the West Coast schools, kind of. I'm not as big as fans, a lot of people, but that is the one sport that I don't like how they protect the certain rivalries. I don't care about Purdue football. I don't live, by West Lafayette. I don't live down by Champaign. I literally live 50 miles from Iowa City, 55 miles, whatever the hell it is. Bottom line is that's a rivalry. And it's not as, why it's not as big anymore? Because you don't have knuckleheads like Kedric and Tom Caker with the radio voice every day talking crap, because it would be. And, you know, I mean, it really would be because we
That-
don't have those days. They can read social media, our tweets, but that's
Yeah.
it.
But that's also, Ken, a little bit to do with like, and not going down a slippery slope, but like back in the day, you could argue about your sports teams, get after each other, even yell at each other, and then laugh, smile, go have a beer. And nowadays, nobody's like that with anything. It's like if you disagree about something, it's okay to agree to disagree. Sometimes I would say stuff to you knowing that I wasn't right just to get your reaction. And I'm sure you would do the same thing to me. So, like, that was the fun of it. And we can't do that anymore. And that's the cranky part of what I get.
Man, I want to comment on that. I don't care what time it is. You are 1,000% right. That's what makes, for me personally, at my age, that's what makes it tough to be a fan. I could go on there, and here's an example. I had an opinion of King Liggins yesterday. I guess I'm not entitled. When I looked at his video, I saw a young Simeon Rice and a Josiah Newton. And on our message boards, people attacked me like I just shot someone. I'm like, what the hell? I can't have an opinion? And so, and you can't do it because, and this is an Illinois site. When you go on, because one of the schools in the Big Ten that I'm not a fan of is because of their fans is Purdue. Their fans rub me the wrong way because basketball, they think like Illinois fans, that they won 10 national titles. Neither school has never won a national title. Been a lot of Final Fours, one of the winningest programs in college basketball. But when you say anything bad about Matt Painter, I better go hide in my garage or get on my boat, and I better travel to another country because they come out of the woodworks.
Yeah.
I made a comment about Michigan State last year, and you're right, it's so nasty. People can't have fun anymore, and I don't take shots anymore. I'm past that stage. But I'm not going to let anybody do it to me either. But Matt, and it stinks because that's when it was fun. I like being able to talk a little trash to people and then people not do it. Now, you and Tom have friends still that I see on Facebook and some on Twitter. I enjoy the Iowa fans. It's kind of creepy. I enjoy the Iowa fans more than I do Purdue fans and Michigan State basketball. And I can't believe I'm saying that, but I do. I don't know the last time an Iowa fan's taken a shot at me. I don't.
You work in Iowa. You work with some good people. You work with Iowa fans that are good people. And I'm not saying that because there's Illinois. I know the Illinois fans in my life that I can have fun conversations with, razz each other back and forth. But God forbid, don't go on social media. If you go on social media and try to do something like that, it's okay to agree to disagree. It's okay. You can think they look like Simeon Rice and Johnny Newton, and you can think that, and like I might not, but it's okay to disagree. And you know what? In 4 or 5 years, we'll find out who was right and who was wrong. And I'm not saying I don't think that because I've never seen the kid play. I'm not saying I don't. I take your word for it, and I'll still give you a hard time. Like, you were the one that made. I remember when Coleman Hawkins was coming to town. And you told Tom and I he's Magic Johnson. Well, to this day, Tommy and I will still give you a hard time because we're just like Magic Johnson. I mean, that's the fun of it, and we laugh about it. So that's the good thing about it. That's what. And KJOC was a great place to do that. Was to listen. You could call in. You could argue. You could team up on one or the other. All that kind of stuff. So yeah. Long story short, these two programs need to play every single year. It drives me crazy that they don't. But I'll tell you this: I think both are going to enjoy their fall. I think Iowa's going to be better than people expect. I think they finally found a quarterback that might be competent. And I think Illinois, it's going to be – you're in the Big Ten. There's going to be hard games every single week. But when you're returning 11 or what is it, 18 to 21 starters?
18.
19.
Yep.
That's
18
crazy.
to 22. Yep.
Yeah, 19 to 22 of a team that won 10 games. And the cool part, and I'll let you go, okay, because I know you got to go, but the cool part for me for Illinois was they won 10 games and they didn't throw a parade. It wasn't the greatest thing in the world. They seemed hungry still, and that was cool.
But you know why? Because Brett Bielema wants people to understand that's what's expected.
Yeah.
What's different about him is that he's building a program. Those other coaches, like I said, I love Ron Zuck. I think they pulled the plug on him too soon. I loved Ron Turner. Those are two of my favorite coaches. But Brett is building. He's not trying to just win one game. He's not trying to win one game or have one magical season and then get a contract extension. He is building what Iowa has been for years, and I love seeing it. I'm here for it.
I love it. Always appreciate you. Get your butt to work, and we'll catch up real soon.
Thank you.
All right, that is Kedric Prince. You can check out all his stuff on social media, and then of course the Illini guys as well. One of the best in the business, and everybody knows I grew up an Iowa fan, and I'm an Iowa fan. But love what Brett Bielema is doing down in Illinois. If you missed our conversation with Brett Bielema from Friday, go check it out. Really good stuff from Brett Bielema. Always good stuff from Kedric Prince as well. We got a lot more to get to. You're watching Off the Air on a Thursday here in the Quad Cities. All right, be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak with all those delicious toppings, the biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese. Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Yeah, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with.
Quad Cities, are you brave enough for halfway to Halloween? Friday, May 16th, the Steamwheelers battle on Tulsa in a night of haunted hits and bone-crushing indoor football action. It's spooky fun for the whole family, complete with a haunted house and high-flying IFL football that'll leave you howling. Snag your tickets now at steamwheelersfootball.com/tickets and come get scared and entertained. Friday night, May 16th, presented by Asylum of Mad Dreams and Slick Willie Radio.
The PGA Tour swings into the Quad Cities again this summer, and you don't want to miss it. The John Deere Classic brings golf, music, magic, and more to TPC Deer Run, July 2nd through the 6th. Wednesday, July 2nd is Youth Day, and ages 15 and under are free all week, making it perfect for the whole family. Stick around after the golf on the weekend for the concerts on the Course Series, featuring country superstar Dierks Bentley on Saturday, and Grammy Award-winning Zach Brown Band on Sunday. Come for the golf, stay for the party. Visit johndeereclassic.com to get your tickets before they sell out.
Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Thursday in the Quad Cities. We've talked about spring sports and the postseason and the fun time of year. It's that on the pitch on both sides of the river, especially on the Iowa side where the postseason is here, and there's a couple conference champions in the MAC. One of them, Bettendorf. We're joined now by their head coach, Allison Sanyi. Coach, first and foremost, thank you for doing this. I appreciate it. It's always good if somebody's coming on here because that means things are going well. So congrats about everything.
Well, thank you very much. No, I appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about the team, and thanks for covering us because it's important and important for the girls. So appreciate it. Absolutely.
I guess we'll start with this year. And obviously a COMAC championship. It wasn't smooth sailing. It wasn't like there was any bumps in the road and all that kind of stuff. What does it say about these girls to be MAC champions with all the adversity, which we'll talk about, kind of thrown at them this season?
Yeah, I'm super proud of them. Like you said, adversity is the right word. I think we somebody told me a stat that we only had the same starting lineup 3 times so far this season. So it's been a tough one in terms of injuries and just, getting the timing right with girls coming back. Then someone else gets hurt. So we've been kind of racking our brains trying to figure out what's going on this year, number one. Do we need to change something up or whatever it might be? But, the perseverance is just what shows on this team. And we've had our ups and downs, definitely, but, they just continue to work. And every day we just say, okay, let's get better than yesterday and see what we can tweak to make the lineup as best we can for the next game. And the girls have been awesome about it, just really rallied together, and it's been a collaborative effort for sure. Freshmen are getting opportunities that, maybe wouldn't have if there wasn't an injury. So, really it's helping them, and it's helping other teammates that haven't gotten great minutes, but they've all just stepped up and done a tremendous job. So, I'm grateful for the personalities and character that are on this team.
When you say MAC championship, I think in soccer, all the sports, it means something, but it means a ton in soccer because it is a loaded conference with great players. And sometimes you can win a state championship or do a lot of great state stuff and not even win that championship because it's that good of a conference. Yeah. To win the MAC championship means something. What did it mean this week for those ladies to kind of smile and celebrate and know that they accomplished something that's awfully hard to do sometimes?
Yeah, number one, it was fun to have something to play for on that last game. It doesn't always come down to that last game, so it was kind of a fun atmosphere. And then of course the way that the game went, it just was exciting at the end for the last 4. But yeah, I think MAC champions does mean a lot. We have Assumption and PV and North Scott and Central's doing really well. Everyone is just getting better and better in the conference, and it's been really nice to get back to the top of the conference. Last year we won state but got 3rd in conference. I don't know what that says about us. So I'm a little nervous for one conference and stuff, and that's really nice to have a conference that does that. And like I said, just having games that mean a lot more, and the rivalry games, of course. I feel like the top 4 or 5 teams, it's all rivalry games because everybody's there at the same level now. So it's been really nice.
Coach Allison Sanyi joining us now from Bettendorf. Coach, you look at last season, you mentioned it, a state championship and a ton of fun and a great ride and all that kind of stuff. And that sets up expectations. What were your thoughts coming in to this year? Because, that state championship is always special, but it's a different team, different year, all those kind of things. So how did you work with, expectations as you came into this season?
Right. We obviously do some goal setting. We set some short-term goals that we can achieve right away or maybe miss right away and set some more goals then. But we also set some long-term goals. We set some measurable ones that help us understand, are we getting there? Are we not? So it's been, winning state's a little double-edged sword. Everybody, are you ready to repeat? And it's like, whoa. Let's just get through the celebration first. So we did that. It lasted most of the summer. We were doing some things all summer from the state championship win. And so the off season seemed a little bit shorter this year, definitely just because we went so long. But I think expectations for me, as a coach, my expectations are always high. So it's really no different this year for the girls. The expectations always up there. And that was the first year of me coming in 3 years ago, was kind of raising that bar and raising the expectations a little bit more. So I feel like, we've done that, and every season is the same expectations. Everybody takes some ownership of our success or lack thereof. And I think the girls have just done a really good job. So, we'll see. We have a tough road, Central first. And then, what we imagine would be, a Liberty North matchup. So got to get past those 2 first before you can start talking state. So we need to get the job done, and work on a few more things here in the next week. So.
Well, Coach, you talked about adversity, and you guys have had to battle some adversity and some injuries. And you look at last season, that special state championship, and obviously Carson Bohanek, a big part of that, reigning Gatorade Player of the Year, scored a hat trick in the state championship match last year. You haven't had her this season. What has that been like, obviously? And it's something where you got to be smart for her because she's got a big future ahead of her going to Nebraska.
Yep. The coach part of you wants to push and push and push and get everybody out there. The mother side of me wants to say, whoa, we need to do the right thing for your future here. She's a force to be reckoned with. To perform like she did on the stage that she did last year is just unbelievable. I think everybody understands what she can do on the field. And to hear that she was out, in February, it was heartbreaking for many reasons. But number one, just to see her on the sideline and have that sport taken away from her for a little while. And hopefully, we've tried to rally around her. She's shown up every day at practice, just trying to stay positive, still with the team and stuff. But, if we get her again, that would be awesome. But, we've been doing okay. The girls have stepped up. The goals have come from, gosh, I don't know, maybe 10 different players. And so, that's just the mentality of the team is like, okay, now we have something else to deal with, but somebody will step up and get it done. And that's kind of what they've done all year. But my heart just goes out to her because it's just, I've been injured before. It's hard to show up every day and watch people do what you love and not be able to join them. So it's been tough.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm kind of playing for her a little bit as well. You mentioned the postseason coming up. You lost some key players, obviously, but it's a program and some players there that experienced it last year. And I know you mentioned the road to get there isn't easy, and you don't want to put cart ahead of horse or anything like that. But does it help, that experience last year of knowing what it's like, being battle tested, experiencing some of the experiences you experienced last year has got to help?
Yeah, I think you're right. Some underclassmen that are getting minutes that they didn't get, number one, like early in the season. So we can be really deep this year if we need it in the postseason. And that's what sometimes it comes down to, is just how deep your bench is, how healthy you are going into postseason. A lot of people have taken advantage of their opportunities this season, which is awesome. We've had adversity for sure. But we've been tested and we've prevailed for the most part. I think our road isn't easy. Central was a 2-0 game during the season, and it's no lie. We've struggled to put the ball in the back of the net some games. So, it's going to be a tough game. They have nothing to lose. Some people would say we have everything to lose. So that's a tough spot to be in, but, I think the girls are focused and, we're trending the right way. And that's the hope and goal of a coach, is just to try to peak at the right time, right? So I think we're heading that direction.
Every year the MAC does so well, and I don't think it's by accident. You look at and sometimes the record's not gaudy. Sometimes there's losses and blemishes on there because y'all beat each other up. But when it comes to the postseason, you're battle tested and you're ready. You talked about last year, those experiences. Doesn't your schedule benefit you guys this year as well? And I'm not just talking about the MAC, but it looks like, looking at your schedule, you didn't take a weekend off. You didn't take an easy game on there. You battled and you tested yourselves. That's got to pay dividends this time of year, doesn't it? Or you hope it does.
Yeah, that's by design, right? Is you want all the regular season games to get you prepared for end of season games. And I think we did a really good job setting that schedule up. We played Wisconsin, Arrowhead, who at the time was undefeated, Springfield, who had one loss, Wheaton, Warrenville, South. I think they were 15-0 when we played them. So we've definitely, Almond was on a roll when we played them as well. So, and then not to mention PV, Assumption, North Scott, all these guys. I think we've really put a schedule out there that no matter what, we're going to be ready for whatever's thrown at us in the postseason, because we've played those tough games already down the road. So hopefully it'll pay off. Some of those games we came out with a few more bumps and bruises than we hoped for, but it'll pay off eventually, I'm sure.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you about just your own experience, because we've talked about the team, but you're there coaching at your alma mater and having success, and I'm assuming having the time of your life. What's it like being back at that place, at a place that you played, that you went to, and having, not just having success, but being a Bulldog again? Not that you ever stopped being a Bulldog, but what's it mean to be back at your alma mater? You got to be having a blast.
Yeah, it's completely different. I've coached a couple different places, Dubuque Hempstead, Dubuque Wahlert. I gave those jobs my all as well. But it's a little something different being back at your home base. And so it's been really fun. Just being able to kind of get your hands on the program and do what you want with it and try to tweak a few things here. I mean, Todd Hornaday obviously set a great foundation. So there wasn't a whole lot to have to do, but just come in, tweak a few things, and put these girls back on the map a little bit has been fun. And, I of alums have reached out and just followed us now just because an alumni is at the helm. So it's been also fun to kind of get those messages and just seeing people in town, because I left town for 15 years, so I kind of lost a few connections, but coming back, it's been really fun. And there's a couple teachers at the school that are still teaching that taught me. The girls can't believe it, but they think I'm way older than that.
Oh, come on.
Yeah,
you're not old at all. You're just a pup. Come on. Before I let you go too, this time of year, I always love to talk to people about some superstitions and stuff like that. How is this group? And I know postseason is postseason. You don't want to get too far ahead of yourself. Are they a fun group? Are they a goofy group? Are they a superstitious group? Tell me about this group off the playing field, off the pitch a little bit, because I think that's when I was covering things for so long, you got to know the girls off the field a little bit as well. And they're always not just the girls, the high school kids in general, they're awesome. How's this group off the pitch, and how much have you enjoyed them?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, that's what makes it fun. Is what happens off the field and at practice and just out after the classes and stuff. This group is hilarious. Number one, we have a few clowns on our team, that know when to be funny, know when to work hard, know when to be serious, but the dynamic of this team is great. Our seniors have been awesome this year. They just lead by example. They're vocal. They make sure everybody has rides, like the little things that you don't really think of coming back from coaching the college side of things to then coaching high school again. I have to remember that not everybody can drive and, that type of thing, but they just, they're dedicated to whatever they do, whether that's on the field or in the classroom. Their extracurriculars, they're all involved in something. They're busy, they're multi-sport athletes, and I truly think that's why they're so successful, is because, they have something to hold them accountable in multiple aspects. And that's tremendous in a young person's life, I think, is just having some responsibility. And they've just been really great at holding each other accountable. But also just a responsible group of girls that like to have fun, and, know when to work hard as well, though obviously you can see that pays off on the field too. So they've been a joy to be around, just a pleasure to coach. And yeah, we have some characters on the team that keep it lighthearted and fun at the right time. So it's been great.
Can I ask you who the class clowns may be?
Uh-oh.
You don't have to throw anybody under the bus if you don't want to, but you said they do it in a good way. You said
I think they know who they are.
Yeah. We won't.
I'm pretty sure they know who they are.
Yeah, they're laughing as they watch this, and that's the best part of it. So, Coach, I appreciate your time. Best of luck. Those goofy girls are also MAC champions, and that's pretty cool. So, enjoy that. Best of luck in the postseason. Get healthy, stay healthy. I usually say get healthy. I usually say stay healthy, but I think for you guys, maybe get and stay healthy is a little bit of both. But I appreciate you so
We'll
much.
do
and
it
best
all.
of luck.
Yeah, we're trying to do it all.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right. That is Allison Sanyi, the head soccer coach at Bettendorf. Of course, Bettendorf, the defending state champs. So they'll look to defend that championship coming up. Postseason starts for them on Wednesday when they welcome Davenport Central over to Tuville Stadium. We got a lot more to get to. You're watching Off the Air on a Thursday right here in the Quad Cities.
Hello, Dan Pearson here of FCA. Our team is thrilled to support Off the Air with our good friend Matt Randazzo. We share the view of the power of sport when it comes to relationships, including the influence of the coach. FCA believes the coach is the most influential person in America. Matt celebrates local coaches and athletes. His content is informational, insightful, and inspirational. Our Fellowship of Christian Athlete team loves partnering with Off the Air with Matt Randazzo while we engage, equip, and empower coaches and athletes in our 23 counties. FCA, the heart and soul in sports.
View from the West, the podcast covering Illinois high school football.
It's going to be a hard-hitting game. It's going to be great football.
Weekly analysis and reaction from around the western side of the state of Illinois.
This is the game we had circled when the year started.
Follow along on YouTube and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.
It's big-time football out there tonight, and I know we can play big-time football.
View from the West. We got you covered.
Are you looking for the Quad City's best chips and salsa? There's only one dude to turn to.
Right on.
Snoop. Hand-cut chips, fried fresh with that crunch you've come to love. And the most addicting salsa with delicious fresh ingredients each and every time. Pick up your chips and salsa, queso, enchiladas, and much more at the Stern Center in Rock Island. To place your order, simply call the man himself. It's Snoop at 309-314-8197 and find out for yourself what the rest of the Quad Cities already loves. Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Thursday in the Quad Cities. A couple weeks, maybe a month ago, I decided to start a Throwback Thursday, and it's been one of the funnest things I've gotten to do. I don't know if you guys enjoy it, but I've enjoyed it. We've gone down memory lane and caught up with some familiar faces here in the Quad Cities, some good friends of mine from the past, and today we are joined by another lovely lady. Angie Sharp joins me now. Angie, how many years did you spend? First and foremost, hi, how are you?
You're going to make me do math right off the bat? Goodness gracious.
It's good to see you.
It's great to see you too.
Yes,
I love your studio.
Yeah, this little place. It's called my loft.
I really like the Illini eye helmet right there, next to the John Deere tractor. That's nice.
I feel like I've matured because the old Matt would not have an Illinois helmet on my.
No, you would not.
But here's the thing: I will not put a Bears helmet on here. There's many people that want me to put a Bears helmet up here. I've matured, Angie, but I haven't matured that much, so let's not get carried away.
You gotta live your life. You gotta live your life.
Angie Sharp, you spent so many years giving us the news at WQAD. Do you remember? Can you do the math? How many years were you? Because you were with us as an intern, and then a little bit as a reporter, and then went to 4 for a minute, and then came back to us, and then just skyrocketed to stardom.
Yeah, I started interning there when I was at Augustana. I got all my Augustana gear here in my office. I've got my big Augustana A right here. Yes. Beautiful pictures of campus that I look at. So I interned when I was at Augustana from 2005 to 2008. And then I went over to Channel 4 for like a hot minute, like a year and a half. And then basically because there were no positions open at Channel 8. And so as soon as I could, I got back to Channel 8 as a third shift producer for Good Morning Quad Cities. So I got to produce for the great Julie Sisk and Jim Mertens, which was probably one of the top 5 highlights of my career, definitely. Yeah. And then, it all kind of started from there. I started reporting again a little bit more. And then eventually, so that was 2009, all the way to 2022, I was the morning anchor of that show I produced, 15 or 12, I don't know, I can't do the math, all those years ago, which was pretty amazing as well, to be able to sit in Julie's chair, Jim's chair and be able to anchor the show that I started producing at Channel 8.
Gosh, we're going to talk a lot about that in a second, but people want to know where you're at now. Okay, so what's Angie Sharp? 3 years? Was it like 3 years, like recently? 3 years ago recently?
Yeah, 3 years Memorial, like the Friday of Memorial Day weekend, which is tomorrow, was when I had my last day at
happy
WQAD.
Anniversary. That's why we had you on. I knew that. I feel like there's some cake or balloons or something like that should have to come in at this point. But
like a big confetti cannon.
Right? What are you up to now? And I know you're killing it, doing awesome.
Well, thank you. Yeah, so I'm the community engagement manager for the city of Bettendorf. It's kind of a fancy title. When I talk to people in the community, I basically say I run all the city's communications. But it's so different from when we were on the air as an anchor. It felt very much like one-way communication. You're just kind of talking into a camera and that's about it. Whereas community engagement, especially for a city, is really about that two-way engagement and trying to really cultivate messages, let people know what's going on in their city, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But, everything from construction projects to our Parks and Rec department to our beautiful family museum. Some people don't realize that our family museum and Palmer Hills Golf Course are both city of Bettendorf amenities. So really like just telling the city's story and humanizing it, introducing them to the people that pick up their garbage, the people that are here at City Hall, helping them pay their utility bills and things like that. It's a really, really cool job. And I really, really love what I do. I wasn't sure if I would love something as much as I loved TV and anchoring and, that kind of community engagement. But this is kind of flexed a different muscle for me. And I'm still able to use some of my skill set, but it's not so face forward, like I loved being on TV, of course. I think as I, got through my 30s and had my little boy Xander and went through those 6 months in my basement during the pandemic, I kind of was like, I don't know if I really want to be on TV, anymore. I really, really loved wearing my pajamas during those 6 months in the basement.
No.
So I really like that in this job, my work really speaks for itself and I'm still able to tell stories. They're just kind of different stories. So yeah, that's kind of as my boss says, short story, long way of talking about what I do every day.
You've done such a good job. And I want to talk about that other side of it when it comes to loving to be on TV and doing those kind of things, because it's something it's ingrained in you. You get to do it, you get to love it. But what you're doing now, you were named recently one of 40 under 40 amazing people of the world. Or I think
yes, that's exactly what the title was.
It's on. That's what's incredible. What did that mean to get that? I know, and I've known several people. I want to say Andrew Lehman even got it, which may have been a recount. They may need to rethink that. But so talk about what that means, because you're making an impact and doing such at such a young age. That's got to be a really cool thing to hear and get.
Yeah, I think that that award meant a lot to me because I did make a big career pivot at the age of 35, and I wasn't sure if that was the right decision to do. Also because I told everybody I was a lifer. I was going to be there forever, right? I think we all did that. But as we know, things change, and you just kind of have to come to terms that maybe I need to close this chapter, and in order to do that, be open to opening a new one. And that's exactly what happened. You kind of just have to surrender to wanting to do something different, and then these opportunities open up for you, and this was one of them. So the award meant a lot to me because it meant that my pivot was a good pivot, and I do absolutely believe in that. My mental health is better, my emotional health is better. I spend way more time with my family and my son, and so I think that the pivot was definitely good for that. But the other side of that was that it was my current bosses, Decker Plain, the city administrator, and Jeff Ryder, the assistant city administrator, who were the ones that nominated me for that award, only knowing me for really 2 years when they did have to put the nomination in. And that just meant a lot to me too. I have really, really great bosses, really great leadership here. And I'm just in a really, really healthy culture here in the city of Bettendorf. And so I just know that I made the right decision. So really that award just kind of was very validating that you can kind of start over at an older age in your career and still feel like you're fulfilling your vocation, whatever that vocation is.
Yeah, you mentioned, and you're one of the people I've told about that, like, you know, and you loved, and I feel like I'm in the same boat, that there's people that are just, they love doing what they did at WQAD and the news, and it wasn't, I'm sure you weren't either. It wasn't about being on TV for me. It was about sharing the news, covering the news, covering sports. Like being on TV was like the last of it for me. And I think for you as well. But you're one of those people that looked to and said like, man, Angie loved it and she's loving life now. And that made it so like, and it is, I hate, and this probably is a bad analogy, but sometimes you feel like you're almost in a gang when you're in the news business where you're like, it's hard to get out. Like it's what you know, it's what you were like, I got out of college.
I mean, the hazing, goodness.
Yeah, exactly. So no, it's awesome to see. I want to talk about that love for what you used to do. Because I mean, if you're in a handful of people that I'm think of, like if people said like, who are the news people that just love the news and telling stories and reporting, and Angie, you would be in one of that small group of people that I put near the top. What was it about that you loved?
I loved telling stories. I love telling people's stories. I thought that was just such an important thing, especially local news. And I think especially those later years when I was on the morning show and we were always discussing, you know, like what's going to get people to actually pick up their remote and watch us and things like that. It's telling the stories of our community. It's, you know, community engagement. It's humanizing who are the people that live, work, play, visit, all of those things in the Quad Cities. And I've always told you and others that like I would not have been able to be an anchor, reporter, journalist in any other community. Like I never wanted to leave the Quad Cities. Like I would never have been able to love it as much. I loved what I did because of the community that I'm in. I fell in love with it when I, you know, enrolled at Augustana, and I've never left. And I met my John Deere husband here, and it's just been like outstanding. And so that's what I really, really loved about doing the news, because I was doing it in the Quad Cities, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And also local news is just like such a gem. And I think it's because, you know, we can tell like the normal, like national stories every single day. You know, we always kind of had that like chunk of news that we had to do that. But it was, you know, we knew that people were waking up for the weather. And so like being able to have like good stories around the weather and good people telling the weather, like James Zahara, like Eric Sorensen, or I'm sorry, Representative Eric Sorensen, Congressman Eric Sorensen, sir. And it was also really, really important that we had really good sports stories. Like I always have said that local news thrives on local weather and sports because people want to see their kid or their friend or their friend's kid, you know, like, and those highlights and just like the what you guys cultivated, the world you created around the score and the John Deere Classic. I mean, by far my favorite week of the year, as you know, like that was what got people watching. It was because we were telling the stories of the actual people in our communities.
Yeah, and that's what it's. I mean, I remember, and you're there with me. I would never want to go to ESPN. I probably couldn't, but I just my goal in life was to be. Once I got into doing it and interned for Dan Birch was to be the sports director at WQAD, and that was it. That was like I was intent, and that's what I thought was what it was going to be. And you're right, because so many times you hear like in a newsroom, hey, we need to be local, we need to be local, we need to be local, and then we're kind of sitting over in the corner going like, well, that's our entire sportscast, and I can do more of it if you want me to, because it is. And,
give me time.
and all of those communities flock to see their kids, and it's just what it is. It's the sad part about newspapers is because people used to open up and read it, and that's unfortunately gone downhill. And then like you just hope that it continues. And that's the cool thing when it comes to sports is I know with Corey and with Joey Danya, with Jay Kidwell still doing it, that like they have the mindset of exactly what needs to be done. You mentioned the Quad Cities. You're a Chicago girl.
Yeah.
But you came to Augie, and I know you love Augie and you love Augie and all that kind of stuff. When you look at the Quad Cities, you said I'm a Quad Cityan. What is it about the Quad Cities? What are the things you love about the Quad Cities? Don't say people. Like that's the easy one. So like I'm talking about like the food, the restaurants, and even the events. Like what is it about the Quad Cities? Boy, that was really fast. Whitey's. What's your Whitey's? What's your Whitey's order?
Oh, it's a s'mores sundae.
Oh, Okay. That's my thing recently on the show is people say Whitey's and I want to get the order because I want to try different things. But all right. I like that. But what is it Quad City wise? What are the events? What are the foods? What are the things about this place besides the people that make it special to you?
Yeah, I love, especially being a Chicago girl, the low amount of traffic. And I like that you really can get, they always say, well, you can get anywhere in 15 minutes or so, but you really can. And if you didn't grow up in the suburbs or like have been in Chicago lately, you understand how like much of a gift that is that you can get around very, very quickly. Events, obviously the John Deere Classic, so much that I loved being able to be out there live every single morning of that week when we had our John Deere Classic weeks. That was like another top 5 thing that I got to do with my career. Love John Deere Classic, love Bix. I'm not really a runner anymore. Last year I was running the Bix with Denise and Jillian. And I was like, I don't think I can do this again. I think my joints are giving out. And so now I just like power walk everywhere. So maybe I'll just power walk the Bix. But that event is outstanding. I love all of our downtowns. I feel like all of our downtowns are kind of having this like nice resurgence. And so I love like that each one kind of has their own personality, like downtown Rock Island, downtown Moline, downtown Davenport, downtown Bettendorf, even downtown East Moline. It's been actually fun to like hang out in downtown East Moline again. So I really like that. Let's see, what other foods do we love? We are loving smash pizza lately. Okay. We just moved from Moline. We've been Moliners for a long time. We just moved to Bettendorf. And so now we're like understanding what our new places are that we can get to in like 5 minutes and get a quick dinner. So we really love soy Thai food. Okay. We'll always love Minghua in Moline. That's the best Chinese restaurant in the entire world. And yeah, smash pizza is really getting into the #1 spot on a weekly basis, which is definitely going to like make me poor one day. But I just cannot get over how good their food is. So
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
There's so much to love about this area. There really is.
What story? You mentioned John Deere Classic. You mentioned a few of those things. Yeah. Being a producer for GMQC, what stories or events that you covered like stand out the most for you, or would be on the top list for you?
I got to do a couple of really cool series when I was at WQAD, and I'm not talking about Nailed It or Failed It, which was like the one where we tested out crafts from Pinterest. Yep. I mean, that was a lot of fun, but it was so much work to do. But really, like on a serious note, I got to start the Pay It Forward program, which was when we like surprised people with $300 and people nominated people that would give $300 to. Like, I just thought that was like such a cool, like small token of appreciation that you could give someone that could just change their entire day, their entire life. And then on that, we did the SOAR scholarship where we surprised kids in their classrooms or on their baseball fields, their soccer fields, and gave them, a big old check that they could use for college, and got to learn about their stories of resolve and challenges that they'd gone through in their first 17, 18 years of life. And so that was a wonderful program that we did for many, many years. And then, of course, there was the Jefferson Awards, which was a national program that we got to be a chapter of and nominate. We did 8 because we were Channel 8, 8 people every single year. And we got to do a half-hour special about these wonderful people making a difference in our community. One of them got nominated and went all the way to Washington, D.C. and won a national award, Dr. Kit Ford with Argro's House. And so, again, it goes back to telling the stories of our people and stories that maybe wouldn't be told otherwise. I think that's, especially with the direction journalism is going, local journalism is going, are we still able to tell the stories of those people and have the time, the energy, the resources to do that and do it fairly and in like the way that they deserve? And so those are some of like the big highlights for me coming out of my like journalistic career. It was, of course it was fun doing like the Nailed It or Failed It and being on Good Morning Quad Cities and being like sleep deprived and like wacky and silly and doing all the things with John and Eric. But it really was like some of those stories that I still think about today and think about those people today too.
It's funny because the couple things I remember is Augustana going to the Final Four. And I believe you made the trip to Salem with Corey.
We did. We made that very long road trip. That was so much fun. Yeah. It was awesome. And it did I never wanted to be like a sports reporter, but I always wanted to tell stories surrounding sports and like why sports are so important to the fabric of your community. That's why I love doing the JDC stuff, because we'd get interviews of people talking about like, this is a huge, great boost for our economy. And, like first tee, like this is why we have this great first tee program in the Quad Cities. And that was why it was so much fun going and following my alma mater to that, because I kind of got to do, Corey, was doing all the sports highlights and everything like that. But then I was able to talk to alum who had made the trip and students who made the trip and talk a little bit about, that, because it's so much more than what's going on the court or going on in the pitch. Like there's a whole, other story that's going on around it too. And that I think was a really unique thing that QAD did with you and Corey, is you guys started telling these like really beautiful feature stories about student athletes. It wasn't just about like, their stats or whatever. It was about, like challenges that they were going through, or their siblings or their parents and all these people that, changed their lives and made their lives what it was. So that was definitely a highlight, was making that huge trip down to Salem.
I remember the John Deere Classic years, and like knowing that while we needed to supply the morning show some content, usually I would come in and like the morning show has content for us, because Angie would be like, oh, hey, by the way, I went and got this, and this, and this. And be like, she loves golf. This is awesome. It went together. It fit so nicely. And then the score opens, young lady. Do you remember the score open in which everybody was sick?
Yes.
And you were doing like everything. You were like producing, anchoring, and everything. And at the end of it, it was perfect. You're sitting at the desk with Kleenexes everywhere and like cold
I was
medicine.
Chugging Dayquil.
Yeah. Those are like, I don't know, like of that, like it's the Augie, the John Deere Classic, that score open. And then I don't think you were overly mean about it, but I was bullied by all the women at WQAD because of the way I put on makeup. And like I had a spoon and I had a brush and I had and I had a pen cap, and it all worked. And like for some reason, the entire makeup area was a disaster. Like it was caked on. It was so, but like for some reason, of all of the 99% of the disgustingness, it was always Dazzo's pen and spoon that was gross.
Freaking, like, why a pen cap? Like it was like,
I'm not supposed to know how to put makeup on correctly. Like we were talking about your boy when we got on here, and I want to talk about your family here in a second too. But I used to tell my kids when they came in that it was time for Daddy to go put on his war paint. And like I wouldn't even say makeup. I'd be like, I'm like, Daddy's gonna face paint. Like it was just so dumb. Like I just didn't know what I was doing. Let's be honest. I had no clue, and I'm kind of okay with that. I'm okay with the fact that
I didn't know either. I had no idea what I was doing with my makeup.
Well, they went to HD, and I never wore makeup until HD. And then when we went home to do COVID, I remember coming back from COVID, and I'm like, Corey, I haven't worn makeup in forever, and he goes, I'm not doing it anymore. I'm like, I'm not doing it either. And we never wore makeup since the COVID because
they changed the lights, which was nice. So it wasn't like glaring on you anymore. We had a
wider shot, and we didn't have to worry about it. That family, and then I got some fun word association to do with it too.
A and the Z's.
Obviously Zach's doing great. Xander, awesome. Kind of talk about being a mom, because I know that's a big part of like talking with Denise and her getting out of the business. And I'm realizing now, and we told you before I got on here, like I thought I was a good dad before I was out of the business, and I realized how much more of a better dad I can be outside the business as well. So what's it like? And I know that Xander is the just your world, which is awesome.
Yeah, he is. It's funny that like, you recently talked to Denise, she's a boy mom, I'm a boy mom, you're a boy dad, and there is something like really special about being like a boy parent. Not to say anything about girls. I would have loved to have a girl, but I think I was really meant to have a boy. Yeah. He is like 50% me and 50% Zach, which is just really, really cool. We just wrapped up 4-year-old soccer. Yes. So it was his first team sports season. And the Dino Dragon Unicorns went undefeated, I'd like to say, in Bettendorf Parks and Rec, which has an awesome soccer program, shameless plug. And it was like, I've never laughed so much at like soccer practices and soccer games. And we even got to have like parents versus kids last night. And speaking of war paint, I was like, should I put like war paint on? Like, how should I like go about this? I did accidentally like kick a soccer ball at Xander's face. So that, you know, that's just really wonderful. I was blocking a shot from my own husband, and in blocking the shot, hit Xander, and it was just it was a whole thing. Everybody's fine. It's fine. But it's kind of like the start of like all these sports, right? Like soccer is such a like entry sport for all of that. So I'm really excited to kind of see like where it goes. Xander, he didn't get any goals, but he wanted to high five everybody, including kids on the other team, and really loved directing. Like he puts a hand on a hip and directs everybody around the pitch. So I think that's me. That's me. By the way, that's the 50% me.
Yes, that is the Angie in him.
But I'm just so glad that I'm around for all of this now because, okay, let's say soccer practice is 6 p.m. Mondays. That's when I would have been getting ready to go to bed, you know, to get ready for the morning show the next day. So I do have those moments where I kind of like, I would have been already like getting ready for bed or coming off of, you know, 2 hours of sleep so that I could get to this practice or this game. I didn't get to see him in the mornings at all. Like I didn't get to see him when he woke up. And so mornings are now like my favorite time of the day to spend with him, just to be able to like go in and wake him up and, you know, spend some of that time with him, like in the mornings and drive him to school. And I didn't get any of that. And especially when he was a baby, I got a maximum of 1 hour with him every day based on my sleep schedule, his sleep schedule, because, you know, they go to bed so early. And that just wasn't cutting it for me anymore. I mean, I was like, I can't be spending 50 hours a week on my job and only 5 hours a week with my son. Like that just, you talk about work-life balance. Hello. But it was, it's very interesting because it'll be 5 this December. And a lot of people are talking about, you know, these COVID babies going into school now and what their education will be like, what their world will be like because they were born in this pandemic. And, you know, I kept it secret for a long time that I was even pregnant because I was able to. I was in the basement and you only saw this much of me. And then I came back in October and I'm like, hello. And then in December I said, bye. And then I came back in April, I'm like, hello. And then later that year I was like, see ya. And
it was a roller coaster.
It was a roller coaster, honestly, of all the things, emotions and everything else. It's great that I get to be with him now. I feel like this is the best seasons right now of him, you know, the 2, 3, 4-year-old, to be able to just spend so much time with him. I just know that that is what I need to be doing right now. And I'm glad, again, like I said, like you close one door and another door opens, or just being open to other possibilities, other opportunities that are out there. And 3 years later, I can say that like it absolutely was worth jumping over the cliff and taking the risk to do.
I love it. I love seeing you happy and rocking and rolling. Let's play word association. I'm going to give you a name. Ooh. You're going to tell me the first word that pops to your head. Then you can explain it. But you got to give me the word and then explain it, okay? We'll start with Jim Mertens.
Tough love. If I could use 2 words, tough love. He is the personification of tough love.
And for the right reasons, right? You know, like
all the right reasons. He made me cry, but like more importantly, he taught me so much about my career that I still to this day like think about and go back on. That man is a legend.
And that's the thing I'll say. And that Dan Burch was my tough love. And then, but like it meant more when he did good. You know what I mean? Like, and John Marks in a way is my tough love still to this day. And like, it means more when you get compliments and when you get good job, because they're not going to sugarcoat it. You did a good job, or they're not going to tell you that. So I completely agree. Denise Hnitka.
Soulmate, like my like sister, you know, like she and I got so close, especially over the last few years. And it was hard because, you know, you don't get to see each other when you're on the morning shift versus the evening shift. But she and I, you know, we left around the same time, only about a month apart. And we really, really helped each other get through that. I actually had no idea that she was even interviewing when I was interviewing. We weren't really talking about that. And so it was a shock to me, just as much as everybody else when she decided that she was going to make a pivot as well. But we've gotten a lot closer even since then. We meet every month. And like we try really hard not to talk about like our personal lives or anything so that we could just talk about work because we're, she's kind of my counterpart over in Davenport now. And so we're learning a lot about each other and able to like help each other now in that way too. So it's kind of fun how like our lives have been a little bit parallel in that way, but she's just my soulmate. I love her so much.
Yeah. James Zahara.
Oh, why does goofball come up first? Goofball definitely.
That's everybody says it. I think that's 4 for 4. I think goofball is exactly. I think Zahara. I think Jim. I gotta go look at the tape. I think Denise, and now you have all gone. Yeah, I think Goofy or goofball has been in the best way, right?
In the best way, but I also want I the second one would be like, so knowledgeable and smart and good at what he does. But I say goofball because he's able to like be maybe it's approachable. Can I go back? Can we cut? It's approachable. He's approachable.
No, goofball's going to be on social media here in about 2 hours, so don't worry about that.
But like he's able to like make people understand the weather, right? Like, and make people take it seriously. He's able to talk to kids about it, older people about it. I mean, we have seen how how he has inspired a new generation of meteorologists with Andrew Stutzky, used to be a weather kid and is now, doing wonderful work. Like, he is just, again, another legend. And I'm having like this moment of like just gratitude that we were able to be part of that chapter, like that chapter at WQAD altogether.
Wait till the little one like looks up to him. My 8-year-old loves the weather and he loves James Zahara. It's like he's like a fanboy, and I'm like, you do know he's a goofy, like, come on now. And he's like he loves the weather and he loves James and all that kind of stuff as well. Who am I missing here? Oh, this is Decker Plain. Careful, he's your boss.
Well, it's hard to think of one word. I would just say he walks the walk. You can talk the talk all you want, but he walks the walk. And I think like he sets an example. And he is very inspiring of what leadership is. And not just like city leadership, like not anybody, but like, city administration, like city government. It's not like the like sexiest or fanciest thing in the world, but he really shows like how collaboration and building relationships with people across city lines, across county lines, across the Mississippi River lines really turns into something that is like regional and great. So I'm thinking about, the I-74 bridge. He was part of that project from the beginning. I'm thinking about TBK Bank Sports Complex and all of that's become up there. And that has a lot to do with my other boss, Jeff Ryder, as well. Like this, like the economy and the other like suburb basically that has been built out there is just incredible. But also like all the things that aren't like that exciting, like our wastewater treatment plant and like all these the Scott County Emergency Communication Center and our Waste Commission, like all of these really, really big collaborations and relationships that he's fostered with people. Like that has been game changing for the Quad Cities. I don't think a lot of people realize they see him on TV, they see him at fundraisers doing MC stuff, and that's how him and I met, was MCing together. And he's obviously a great philanthropist and volunteers all of his time emceeing those like 1,000 events every single year, whatever it is. But he's done a lot for our Quad Cities community as well. And he walks the walk. He doesn't just talk the talk or, go give a soundbite or something like that. We all know those people. He actually like does the work. And that's why he's still our city administrator and still working for the city 50 years later. It's amazing.
Yeah. He must have started when he was like 5.
Yeah, I think that's probably true.
You know what word I use with Decker is Teflon. He can say whatever. He's Teflon. He gets away. But the thing, you're right. He's so entwined in the community, and not just Bettendorf, but you go to every board I've been on. It's like, well, there's Decker in a good way.
Yes.
So he's one of a kind. Okay. Last question for you.
Okay.
I've asked this like 2 or 3 times, and you got to give an answer.
Okay.
Claire Peterson or Andrew Lehman?
Oh my gosh. That isn't fair. Oh, I have to answer?
Yeah, and they're keeping track. I don't know if Claire is. Andrew's keeping track.
Well, then I'm going to say Andrew if he's keeping keeping track.
You might be the first one to say Andrew if you said Andrew.
Well, okay, so I will say so. Okay, I love you, Andrew. But my answer is going to be Claire.
Yes.
Only because my love into John Deere Classic world was through Claire.
Yeah.
He was the tournament director, and we did these cool segments in the mornings called Breakfast With. He was always willing to do the Breakfast With the John Deere Classic one right ahead of John Deere Classic week, which was, the busiest week of his life. Always willing to be up in the middle of the night with us to do interviews, and just always was honest about, what the John Deere Classic is. And, he never had to say it, but you just knew that this is a really big deal that we get to have this tournament. And that he loves it just as much. And he works so hard on it. We always joke oh, well, now the tournament's done. What do you do for the other 51 weeks of the year? He works it. He's doing so much work. My other favorite person, because I love saying her name mostly, is Christy Ketchum-Jackson, who did all the Birdies for Charity work. So I have an affinity with, those Claire years and Christy years, because they really built that foundation, and Decker too. He was, part of the beginning years.
No more
Claire.
Decker love. No more Decker love. No more Decker love.
Well, if I say Claire, then that means that, maybe Decker hears that too, and he is my boss. So,
So what you're saying is you hate Andrew Lehman is what I got out of that.
I do not.
I think that's a good place to leave it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. It's my thing. And I will get a text from Andrew that says I'm 3-0 now. I'm trying to think who else I asked. Celia Palermo, and she said Claire. And then there was another one as well along the way. And they said Claire too. And I'm going to continue. I'm going to find Andrew and Andrew guys. But you know what? Eventually, 20 years from now, there'll be a lot of Andrew guys.
Yes. Well, and the people don't even know who Claire is,
Yeah.
So,
yes. And who Claire is.
Those are big shoes to fill. And Andrew has done an outstanding job.
All right.
So
now quit listening, Andrew, for a second. And right now,
he's a wonderful.
No, but I'm telling Andrew to stop watching. He's killing it, Angie. I just don't want him to hear this. He's doing an amazing job. I love people who take over something great and try to make it even better. They didn't just try to maintain. They tried to add to and make it better. And that's exactly what Andrew has done. So, okay, Andrew, you can start listening again. I didn't want to hear me say anything nice about it. Angie, we could do
bad things we said about him.
We could do a 2-hour show and all that kind of stuff. Thank you for doing this. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
I'm being serious. The fact that you're happy and loving life gives me a lot of encouragement that I will be as well. I already am, but there is life on the other side. I appreciate it. Tell Zach I said hi. Give Xander a high five, and hopefully Xander. I'm still covering sports. I'm going to cover Xander one of these days.
I mean, maybe he'll be a good soccer manager, with the way he's, doing his little thing. But we're hoping to get him out on the golf course soon. His first name is Xander for a reason. Xander with a Z, not an X. But, my husband loves golf, and we're going to be getting him out on the Short Hills greens very soon. And JDC next.
I love it. I love it. That is Angie Sharp. Thank you, young lady. I always appreciate you.
Bye, Matt.
All right. Angie Sharp joining us on Throwback Thursday. And Throwback makes it seem like it was let's talk to the old people. No, Angie killing it, doing awesome. Great to catch up with her as well. We got more to get to. You're watching Off the Air on a Thursday right here in the Quad Cities. All right. Be honest. Are you craving Hungry Hobo again? You know, that fresh sliced meat piled high on those amazing sandwiches, hot off the grill chicken and steak, with all those delicious toppings. The biggest and best selection of baked potatoes, or simply some waffle fries dipped in cheese? Well, now that Quad City favorite is even easier to get. Download the Hungry Hobo app today. Order ahead, skip the line, and earn rewards all at the same time. There's Double Points Monday and exclusive specials as well. With 12 locations in the Quad City area, it's Hungry Hobo. Now even easier to find, but still hard to resist.
Rafferty Funeral Home, dedicated to serving families in the Quad Cities since 2007.
Hi, welcome. Here, come on in.
An experienced staff plans each service to reflect the unique life and legacy of your loved one. Rafferty Funeral Home is proud to serve our community with dignity, respect, and compassion, helping you to celebrate your traditions and lasting memories no matter your faith, culture, or budget. Rafferty Funeral Home in Moline. Call today to discuss prearrangements.
When it comes to quality, convenient pizza, Godfather's Pizza in Silvis has you covered. Featuring a beautiful dine-in area, delivery, and a carry-out window. Godfather's Pizza is that pizza you grew up with, not a convenience store. You see, at Godfather's Pizza, the dough is made fresh daily. That mozzarella cheese is shredded fresh and never frozen. And those toppings are abundantly piled high each and every time. Locally owned and operated since 2010, Godfather's is a huge supporter of local athletes right here in the Quad Cities. So come on by and check them out at 1211 Avenue of the Cities in Silvis. Order online at godfathers.com and reunite with that same delicious pizza you grew up with.
Cities again this summer, and you don't want to miss it. The John Deere Classic brings golf, music, magic, and more to TPC Deer Run July 2nd through the 6th. Wednesday, July 2nd is Youth Day, and ages 15 and under are free all week, making it perfect for the whole family. Stick around after the golf on the weekend for the concerts on the Course Series, featuring country superstar Dierks Bentley on Saturday and Grammy Award-winning Zach Brown Band on Sunday. Come for the golf, stay for the party. Visit JohnDeereClassic.com to get your tickets before they sell out.
Welcome back to Off the Air with Matt Randazzo here on a Thursday in the Quad Cities. Thank you guys for joining us. It's been a fun show. That was a lot of fun to catch up with Angie Sharp. Gosh, I can remember her entire interning at WQAD and then just watching her grow and do what she did was awesome. And to know that she's killing it in the afterlife after TV as well is awesome. So super happy for her. And we could have talked for like 2 hours. In fact, we're going to do lunch next week to chat some more. So but a lot of fun with Angie Sharp on our Throwback Thursday. Also today, Kedric Prince kicked things off because the Fighting Illini have sold out season tickets for the football team this year. Huge deal. And recruiting is going great. So if you missed Ked, go check him out right now. That was the beginning of the show. And then Bettendorf Girls soccer coach Allison Sanyi joined us to talk about them winning the MAC, co-sharing it with Muscatine and getting ready to repeat or try to run to repeat at state. Obviously, they've had a lot of injuries as well. Kind of talked about her standout reigning Gatorade Player of the Year, Kirsten Bohanek. Hasn't played this year too much. So we'll see how healthy she can get. And then also we'll see what the Bulldogs can do down the stretch as well. So a lot of fun. If you missed any of our shows this week, Katie Hassan, Pat Anger on Monday. I'm going to miss a lot of this stuff as I kind of go through it. I usually write it down. But Rob Pulliam was on as well. Congratulations to him for winning the, I almost said shot put, but the high jump championship. Down at Illinois State for the Valley Conference. Kai Rios was on recently as well. So a lot of great shows this week. Go check them out. Kyle Huseman, Tom Kakert, bunch of good stuff. Go check those out as soon as you can. Couple things I want to talk about before we let you go. I meant to mention it at the top, but the Iowa basketball team's landed another transfer, a guard, Ashton Williamson from Florida International University. Averaged like 8 points, 3 assists, something like that this past season. So has 3 years of eligibility left. So a player like Tom Kakert kind of talked about yesterday that Iowa can develop and build and retain in this world of college basketball. So the Iowa roster getting filled up quickly. I still think they'd like to add a big. I don't know how many bigs are out there at the price you can afford, but I think that's something they would like to do. So a nice pickup for the Iowa basketball team. The Iowa baseball team will play in the semifinals of the Big Ten tournament on Saturday. Their other game, which now means nothing with Indiana, has been moved to Thursday night at 9 p.m. So we'll take a look at that as well. And what a crazy night in the NBA to watch Tyrese Halliburton, the former Iowa State standout, kill the Knicks and come back in Madison Square Garden, making another big shot. They go up 1-0 in that series as well. We've almost hit the end of the week. We'll have another show tomorrow. A programming reminder, it's a 3-day weekend for almost everybody, so I'm giving myself one as well. So no show on Monday. We'll be back on Tuesday with that, but we'll have one more show tomorrow and a lot of fun things we're looking forward to. Coming up next week, we're going to catch up with, I'm excited about this, a Muscatine product, a Muscatine standout, Josh Schuler. He's currently the head strength and conditioning coach for the Detroit Lions, doing great things in Detroit, roots right here in the Quad Cities with Muscatine High School in Muscatine. So we're going to catch up with him, and you'll have that interview coming up on Tuesday as well. So a lot to get to in the following days and the following weeks as we get through the summer and work our way towards football season, which should be a lot of fun as well. Before we let you go, I want to thank our fantastic sponsors for everything they do, for allowing me to do this goofy little show each and every weekday up in my loft right here at the Randazzo household. So we appreciate them, and most importantly, we appreciate you for watching as well, or listening, or however you are partaking in the show. And we'll be back with another episode of Off the Air with Matt Randazzo coming up tomorrow.